是我们的，这是我们爱的委员，对，四位同学。
Andrew 是吧
Andrew, yeah.
哎，我这个是
I'm Jenny.
Jenny.
Mr.
French, right?
Yeah, I'm
You
English
study
and French.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Polly.
Polly, you study English.
Yes.
I'm Claire.
Okay. Oh, you are the one to study law.
Yes.
Okay. So today, I'm Mr. Wong, and today we're going to do an interview in all English, if possible. And I'm Jenny. Just that I told you that I major in French, and this is
I'm Polly.
And I'm Claire, I'm from Law Department.
And I'm Andrew, I'm from Communication Department.
Yes.
And because we are from different departments, so we will have a lot of questions about entering the work, how we have to prepare. And first of all, we want to know more about Siemens. Can you
briefly introduce yourself.
Okay, sure. Siemens is a German company. It's an engineering firm focused mainly in the infrastructure projects. We have three operating company behind. One is the gas and power. We call it GP, short form. Gas and power. Mainly focus on the energy or power generations. Okay. The other one we call it smart infrastructure, which is focused on mainly two areas. One is the we used to call building technologies. The other one is energy management. So the building technology is focused on the building automation system. Okay. For example, when you go to a shopping mall, a casino, a hotel, then there will be behind the big building there will be a control system behind. Okay. And then there is another part I mentioned is the energy management, which is more focused on the medium voltage and low voltage products. Okay. And then the last one will be digital factory.
Okay. So we know briefly about the company, and there's quite a lot of questions that we're interested in, and if possible, can you answer the questions for us?
Sure.
Okay, since we are going to graduate in this year's or in 1 year, so we are very interested about the internship, the importance of the internship. So when you recruiting the people new here, will the internship be the key point when you decide whether to hire or not?
That internship definitely will be additional benefit to the student, I'll put it this way, because it demonstrates that they have been worked in a business environment before. And if someone, for example, if he or she have been worked with Siemens as an intern, then we can take a reference. For example, we can talk to his or her manager or supervisor, and then collect the feedback and see how this intern perform in our company. So definitely it help us to make a decision and help us to consider whether this candidate is a good fit or not. So I think it definitely help.
So you recommend the internship not just only because when you're recruiting, and you think internship is a good activity for students in college to.
Of course, it's a both benefit both sides, benefit to both sides, because for a student they always have a picture of how it works in the business world, right? And actually, you guys can have a real experience how from 9 to 6, what I need to do am I just sitting on my desk facing the computer? What kind of things, I need to do? So that's, internships just give you a real life example what you're facing on a daily basis. Right? So I just give you guys a very good experience. So there's benefit to both sides.
And what if the students from law or English or French or communication like me want to enter in Siemens? What kind of skills or knowledge do we have to
know before?
Yes.
Get
before. Or do we have any chance to enter in? Because I know this is based on the technology. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Of course. You all are welcome to join our you all have the opportunity, definitely. Yes, this is a technology company, but we also have all different kind of non-technical positions, just like other companies. We have HR, we have marketing, we have communications, we have finance, we have accounting, IT. So I think there are a lot of other streams which is non-technical. I think the question is whether you are interested in those areas. For you, of course, you are studying communications. So of course we do have communications or marketings. But it doesn't mean that the other don't have the opportunities. For example, if those people are interested in sales, then definitely they can, in future, they can focus on that areas using their special skills. For example, study English, right? So that is already one special skills that you can apply or use, even for you study
French.
Definitely can use that special skills, but you need other skills as well. For example, I mentioned you want to be a sales. I knew some sales, they don't have engineering background, so they need to work extra harder and to understand, to learn more about that product or that thing that they are going to sell. So it's not that easy because you cross a different stream, but it's not impossible.
So Mr. Wang, you're from Hong Kong.
Yes.
Is there any differences between like Taiwanese or other countries' staffs that you can share about us, or the pros or cons for Taiwanese employees?
Ooh.
It's very straightforward. If that's possible for you to share.
Yes, because I can see their differences. For example, the pace, I think is a bit different from country to country. The style of doing things are different, of course. But that's no good or bad or bad. It's not like this. Just a difference. And the difference is not that big. And deep down, when you go into, how to say, but I can see that there is something common. I would rather focus on the common theme. For example, I'm come from Hong Kong. I'm now working with the team in Taiwan, and I can see like each human being have something in common. For example, they need to be motivated, right? Everyone want to be motivated. Everyone would like to be appreciated, right? So I would rather focus on the common thing instead of focus on the differences. For example, I mentioned the pace may be different. Well, you have to accept it. Like when I come from Hong Kong,
It's
and I
very
come
quick,
here,
the pace is very fast.
yeah, it's a bit faster
Mhm.
than in Taiwan. Then you have to accept it.
Mhm.
Then you just find a way to motivate my colleagues to do it, to do a good job.
Mhm.
And also you have to accept that, there is differences in the world, right? Everybody is different. No matter you are even in Hong Kong, my colleagues, they have different personalities. Someone do it faster, someone do it slower,
Mhm.
right? So it's not about, we shouldn't label it,
Mhm.
Taiwanese is like this.
Mhm.
People is like this. I don't believe in that. That is, I can see there is a trend in particular region, like our country, more common to do things like that. But I don't like to label it, and I would rather to see individual and then see how to motivate them and help them to achieve their goal and targets. My job is not supervising them. My job is supporting them and help them to achieve what they need to achieve. That is how I see it. So that's why I enjoy working in Taiwan and the colleagues in Taiwan.
So Siemens is a German company.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you have spent your time in different companies, like based in Hong Kong, for example, and is there any differences? Because
Yes. Yes. When you talk about German company, I'm not sure what comes to your mind. But for me, like when I look at the for example, a car, right? When you talk about German car, then you always think about the good quality,
high quality,
very high quality.
Yeah.
There's a reason behind, like why people think that way. Because the German company always focus in the details, very focus on the quality, also focus on the procedures, the process. Because they believe if you have a very good process, then always come with a good qualities. So they try to ensure the process is good, so that they can create a good quality of product. So that's why in Siemens we have a lot of procedures, policy. That's true, right? You come from I also work for different kind of company. Back when with French company I used to work. I work for a local company, listed company, and now I'm working for a German company. And I can see, of course, there are differences. But there is a reason behind how the company operate, and we believe in, to deliver a good product, a project, then we need to have a very sophisticated and not sophisticated, the wrong word, not sophisticated, a very detailed process.
So the last question.
Okay.
What do you think are the characteristics that one should possess that we are able to enter an international company such as Siemens? Because nowadays in Taiwan, every graduate are trying to find jobs in international company because of the crucial benefits, the wages, such like this, And what do you think is the most important characteristics that you can share with us as you as the human resources?
Well, I think the most important thing is you enjoy the environment. And you enjoy to work with different people from different countries. I think that's important. Because if you're not, then so that is, I think, one thing that you have to bear in mind. You enjoy to work with other peoples from other countries. I would say language is important. Yeah, because you have to communicate with them, right? So that is another fundamental elements. I won't say that is something very the most important. I won't say that, but there is some fundamental elements that you have to have. Also, you have to be open-minded because, as I said, different people or from different countries actually they have a different way of thinking, different way to do things. So be open-minded. I think that will help you to, to work in a multinational company. And normally, multinational company is a bit more complex. I would put it this way, because I just give you an example. You have to deal with all different kind of countries, right? For example, I need to imagine I'm in our headquarters is sitting in is located at Munich. When they prepare a policy, they need to address not only for the German colleagues, but also the rest of the world, right? So that is. So that's why the procedures and the policy are a bit complicated or complex, because it need to address very different regions. So I would say, so that's why you have to be prepared yourself when you go into a MNC or international company. That things will be more complex.
Just like me and Andrew, we are going to be an exchange student in next semester. So do you think this kind of experience will be an advantage when we, among those other talents?
I would say it is an advantage, of course, because you can have a real experience in overseas. So my recommendation to you is, sorry, how long you are going to?
A year.
A year?
Half a year.
Okay, it's good, it's good. Try to experience a different culture. I understand when you go to overseas, you always, how to say, hang around with the Taiwanese. Right?
Yeah.
That is very common.
Yes.
That's true. That's fine. It's not a sin. It's not a sin. But also try to experience a different culture. Take that opportunity, because that will be. It's not very, happen every day, right?
Yeah.
It's in your lifetime. Maybe it's only happened once. So take that opportunity to experience a different culture. That is one thing I highly recommend you to do. Secondly, some people or some students I experience, they just have a good time, a party time, but don't waste that time. Really take that opportunity to enrich your experience. Culture, learn about something good about that society.
I have another question. I think it's not everyone is very lucky as you when you give it a try and you can know what kind of things you want to do. So, like how long or the range of the time you will recommend for us to searching or trying different career, like maybe until 30 or 2 or 3 years? is there a certain range for you to think?
Oh, this is a
Yes.
difficult questions. I think different person have different answer for this,
Mm.
but for sure there should be a limit. I cannot try it until
Yeah.
40s, 50s.
Yeah.
So that you also have to look at your responsibility in the family as well.
Yes.
So you have to balance it when you make that decision on that. When you think about like how much time I can try, but you also have to balance other factors. So you have to think about like whether you have a family responsibility. Like for example, if you are going to get married as a gentleman, then you have a family to take care of,
Yeah.
right? And you later on you have kids, then you cannot have sorry to say the freedom to to try a lot of things. Of course, you can still try, but there is certain limit, right?
Yes.
You still need to take care of your family. So
Sure.
I would say, as long as you are still single, that is how I see it. As long as you are single, then you don't need to take care of you don't have a high burden from your family or parents,
Sure.
then you can still try.
Oh.
That is how I see it.
Uh,
But if you have other responsibility, then I would suggest you better settle down and make. Sometimes it's a decision. Sometimes there's a lot of good thing on the table, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you have to make a choice, and sometimes people think making a choice is very difficult. But I would say option A and option B and option C, when I look at it, the differences is not that big, and there's no right or wrong in your life, and just how you see it and how you. Just to give example, I take this job and that job. Of course, I can think about how our career will go, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, if you really have the passion for that job, no matter which one you take, then I believe you are still you can still success for that choice you made. Again, go back to, I remember you mentioned nowadays the people complaining about the salary, the wages, the benefit. I believe you have the passion for your job, and your boss or your manager will see your passion. At the end, you create the value for the company, and your manager will notice it, and definitely you become an asset and to the company, and they will catch up your wages, your package. This is how I see it, and this is how I approach my job and also my salary as well. I don't like to talk to my manager and say, hey, my salary is too low, can you give me more or something like that? I don't do that often. I did it once, to be honest. I did it once in my whole career. But that time I really proven that I can take up that job. And then I talk to my manager. And I do it nicely. I do it very nicely. Okay? But often, like I always think, like as an employee, I am an employee as well. Always have feeling, maybe I'm underpaid. Compared to my at that time, my peers, I'm maybe a bit lower than the market. Blah, blah, blah. Always, sometimes you have this kind of feeling. But you just try harder and try to prove yourself, and then that become my motivation as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time. And
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
very enjoyable to talk to you.
Very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we take your pictures together?
Okay.
Thank you.
好。
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 这是 iPhone 吗？好，用你的拍。
Judges.